Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. And to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, today we're going to be talking over a lot of news this week, some controversial opinions on the timeline. We're going to be going through, we're going to be taking a look back and at some of our opinions of the past and see what went wrong. And we're doing a Rostermania Dream Team Draft after we talk a little bit of Rostermania today as well. There's a lot to go through. Before we get any of it, I've got to ask, guys, what is going on?
Josh, I'm feeling cracked out of my mind, ready to take on the world. Do you hear me? Do you hear me, Josh? I'm ready for it.
I hear you.
I'm ready to take on the world and eat salads every day.
Oh my.
That's far down there.
Wow, that one went all in.
I sure did.
Wow. All right.
I just saw a bare chest over there. Like, wow.
That's some deep V's we've got going on over there.
That
Jeez. Sam, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good.
Yeah? You pumped?
I am pumped.
To get this podcast going.
I don't have the skills. Everyone just starts pulling another shirt.
Oh my.
Best of 3.
All right. Best of 3. But you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube after your ears are already gone after that.
That's
My
true.
goodness. But, yep, you can follow us on Twitter, SalvationsElite, Bash_Bo3, and Shady Nero. And we got a lot to go through today. So, basically, first of all, I mean, want to get into the news?
Let's
Get
do
the
it.
news.
Let's do it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Well, I think we should lead off this week with a little bit of the hot debate that was kind of going through the timeline this weekend on Twitter. Obviously, we had the whole situation. Well, the Ultra have had some interesting PR this week with a whole bunch going on from Toronto's point of things. Obviously, we had the Brack versus Ultra dilemma this week. And Crim basically putting Toronto on blast.
Sure
and
did.
he went to town. I mean, no holding back. Right off the rip. Like, my goodness. And it was intense to say the least.
Mm-hmm. It was like pretty much just straight up calling him out. I mean, and like that just means like, like he's been like talking with Brack and whoever for a long time now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he knew a lot.
He knew a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just, I mean, he had, the first tweet was about, we'll talk about later, but a certain podcast. And then 2 and 3 were about Brack and Toronto. So
Yeah.
straight up, which, Crimsix has an audience and a lot of people see his tweets. So, which then inspired Ultra to post a statement.
Yeah. So, I mean, Rex, do you want to give us the breakdown of what went down?
All right,
And
so,
kind of like the big old story?
all right, so what happened? I remember a long time ago hearing the Brack and Ultra drama, and Brack was getting paid, but then it kind of died out until now when Crim kind of came out with everything, talking about the Ultra drama, like wanting to go like 50-50 split with prize winnings and like not raising the salaries of their players, yada, yada. Essentially, Brack was trying to go home. He moved his stuff out. Apparently, he told the org, but they said they didn't know. And it was all because of his sickness with like his grandpa. And then he got sick himself. And then the org stopped paying him because he wasn't living in Toronto because they're super strict about that. And then that's kind of where the drama lies.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard kind of a little bit of this stuff throughout the year. I mean, we heard like stuff about Classic that he was trying to go home, and that's why he was subbed out for the one tournament. And then, with all of this now, and we knew there were some problems and that some people were unhappy, and that players behind the scenes knew that Toronto was kind of being scummy with some of this stuff.
Yeah,
it's just so weird. Like, why is Toronto so stubborn with it? I mean, like,
Dude,
okay, yes, it's in the
weirdest
contract
thing for me.
but that's what's so weird about it. I mean, regardless of like who's right or who's wrong, it just doesn't make much sense.
Like they care so much about living in Toronto if you're on their team. Like they care so
Right.
much. And I just remember the one like their general manager or the owner, I don't know who it was, but it's like a higher up in that organization. When they were talking about doing the bubble,
The co-CEO.
Co-CEO, he was like pissed. Like, this is all rumor. There's gonna be no bubble. No one's moving. It's like, dude, what? What?
Yeah.
Relax, dude. It's
And
in
then,
the bubble.
and then the
That's
Huntsman
great.
right after that, went out and we're going to talk a little bit about the bubble here in a second. But then they made their videos like, okay, this is a legitimate thing. Like there's possibility here. It's like he got debunked like within a day.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know. Obviously, I haven't done much research, but like, what is their background? Because like, obviously, they're bringing some sort of mindset.
I mean, it's
to
Splice.
Call of Duty,
It's
but like,
Splice.
but
it's just weird.
It just makes no sense though. Like,
yeah, I know.
every other org is pretty like, player focused. I would think.
I feel like we're all on the same page about the decision to like label it as the truth about Brack in their like little statement.
Yeah.
I mean, that was rough.
Yeah.
Like the truth about Brack. Yeah, it's like his side of the story, like their side of the story.
Yeah.
What?
It was just such a bad, like, just for PR, just bad, like
really bad.
It was viewed in such a negative light.
At this point, the majority of the CDL fans very much dislike Toronto.
Yeah. That's what it seems like.
I mean, do you have like any opinion on the whole situation? Like on Crimsix calling out Brack's side of the story. I mean, at the end of the day, it just feels like Toronto should loosen up a little bit here, right? Like, come on. At least help the players out a little bit.
But it's one of those things where it's like, we will really, truly never know exactly what happened. And usually with these types of things, both parties are at fault in some way.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my guess is Toronto has their rules and regulations that they kind of just have to follow. And then, I don't know, it's tough. But maybe some of those rules and regulations are so just kind of like way too strict or way too like why. But I don't know. It's tough.
Here's the thing is like, no matter how right Ultra are here, they like just lost so much respect.
Oh, from the whole scene
in the community. Like they could have been 100% right here, and whatever it was. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they could have been.
in theory.
In theory, and they could have just like tanked their stock, their brand stock, and it's just.
Yeah, I mean, Crim also like talked about like the contract side of it, where like they were saying that it's supposedly Toronto was winning in contracts originally, a 50-50 prize split, which I completely agree with Crimsix in that, like, if one thing, like Crim said he would never sign a contract that wasn't 100% or like as much as possible to the players from the prize pool.
Yeah.
Like, he would never sign a contract if it wasn't like at least 90% to the players for the winnings.
Right.
And again, it's because we want that to be a motivation for your players to try to win and perform well, and you don't want your players to get like, all right, well, if we win 100K, I'm only going to take home 50. Our team's taking home 50 of that, but that means I'm only taking home 10% of that. We're like, I'm going to make 75K this year anyway, so it's like, why even try?
Yeah, exactly.
Which you probably saw like a lot of teams, just players playing for themselves,
and that could be part of what we saw this year.
You know what I mean? Because they're sitting comfortable knowing that it doesn't like really affect me too much if I win or not, because I'm only getting a small percentage. So why should I try my butt off here if I'm not really getting anything in compensation? So.
Yeah, so it sounded like Crim was saying, because he said 50-50 prize pool while underpaying them. It's like they're trying to pay 50K per year contracts and then only giving them half the prize pool. That's tough. That's tough. Like, you'd think like if you're trying to save money on salaries, then like why not give them most of the prize winnings if they actually end up being good? Like, that's only logical.
That
and if they're actually trying not to do that, that is really bad.
Yeah.
Like, that is actually tough. So, I don't know. I mean, do you have any other thoughts as a whole on the whole Brack v Ultra specifically before we talk more about like the podcast situation as well? No?
Yeah, no. I guess I'm just curious about if anything further will come to light. I know they both said their thing, and we're talking to it. Ultra's now gone on to retweeting a bunch of tweets and kind of
bury it a little.
They want to bury it a little bit. So this might be the last thing we see about it. So
Yeah, that's the biggest question. I'd be surprised if they. I mean, like it's just they handled it so bad.
A weird thing to
like,
do.
You should put out like a video with your owner talking about the situation or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like a very transparent, like, hey, we probably messed up here, or like we want to, figure out a way to do this differently, or like, we want to keep this relationship in a good way instead of a like twit longer.
With like accusing, like
Brack of doing
Brack.
bad.
Extremely accusatory.
Yeah,
like that is not the right way to handle it.
Yeah, like there's a way to tell your side without like basically throwing Brack under the bus. Like
this guy's lying.
I know it's like no.
Obviously there's some truth to this. Otherwise this wouldn't come up.
Again, it just comes off so bad in the
it's so bad
in the community. So
yeah.
Well, Brack's response too, like he has like, and then his response was like almost made it worse. Like here's the doctor's note, and he has his thing. It's like, and he's already got the support, so clearly people are just gonna ride on this too.
Yeah.
Like it was just a no-win situation with that. Like they needed more power than just a twit longer.
Yeah.
Right. So in the hierarchy of where players least want to play, where are you at with Toronto right now?
I mean, probably bottom, right? If contracts are really that bad.
I mean, what are the other teams? If let's give the bottom four of where you believe players least want to play. It could also be for other reasons, not just because they're not like it could be for other reasons besides being player friendly or not player friendly. Yeah. Rex, who are your bottom four players least want to play for them teams?
Well, I mean, Toronto is kind of an easy one. Paris, because Paris is probably the least money, so probably the lowest salaries in Paris as well.
They're definitely the cheapest. Yeah.
They're the cheapest. Not much like probably internal support so much.
And they're European, so like a lot of the Americans would be like, I'd rather go in with American brands. So I can see that. Those probably feel like locks to me as in the bottom four.
Bottom two.
Part of me wants to say like Optic, just because now their Optic is kind of like the bad press, but I really don't like those two are like the easy ones. After that, it kind of just gets gray area.
LAG, because they just weren't good and they handled their roster pretty poorly.
Yeah, but LAG's rich. Like they're gonna pay their
and
players.
They're LA.
And they're LA. They're rich. The only thing maybe is like they're not so like you're not gonna really get to know your bosses so much. Maybe if people care about that.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, Toronto and Paris are easy ones. After that, it's kind of up in the air.
I agree.
Yeah.
Overall, it's those seem like the two easy ones. Yeah, I mean maybe LAG just 'cause I felt like they handled the roster weird this year. Seattle didn't handle the roster very well this year. I mean, it might not be the general manager's fault. It might not be the coach's fault. It might just be a higher up situation with like money that might be a problem. But
maybe, but everyone's talking about our org's. They all think that their org was great, and then the players they're playing with were great.
There's no actual reason why besides that it just was handled a little weird this year. Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, it seems like it's going pretty well for all the other teams for the most part, right?
Maybe Florida. Yeah. Florida maybe is more of kind of a question mark. Like they're great social media wise.
Yeah, they are.
Like, how are they internally? I feel like it's kind of a mystery to people.
Yeah, it seems like they handled like the whole like Pristini like deal pretty well though, and that went smoothly, and they helped out Pristini get out when he was trying to get out. So
you're right.
It seemed like they did that pretty well, but I agree. I guess the bottom two is kind of obvious. Maybe we can just leave it at that. Do you agree, Sam?
Yeah. You know what would be a hot take though?
What?
Like what if you said like Huntsman?
People don't want to play for the Huntsman
simply because if you're like a slasher, he would never want to play for Huntsman.
But would he want to? He'd want to.
But like, they'd focus more on content than winning a championship. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe, or they're very lenient with it.
Yeah, like it's just like I'm like kind of throwing some.
There
stuff
could be
out
like
there.
certain players,
but
the majority of the league.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think there's definitely certain players who probably don't want to play for Huntsman just for the sheer fact that it's what it is.
Yeah, because like Hex will always prioritize content than.
I mean, I get that, and like part of your contract is to be in content.
Yeah.
So if there's guys who literally just don't want to do it, then I get it.
Yeah, that's my one hot take.
But
for the night.
Minuscule amount.
Yeah, that's a very small amount.
Yes,
we're nitpicking the crowd there.
Are we?
I don't know. Maybe we are, but all right. Anyway, so let's go to like what started the whole conversation. This all started because Crim went on a rant page and just of just throwing shots. And
This was scary.
basically, no free shout outs, but the Cultura podcast
Is that what it's called?
that had a the Culture, right? It's what it's called. The
Cultura,
Cultura
maybe? I don't
podcast.
know. Cultura.
About basically their Overwatch guys that started doing a podcast about, and again, it makes sense, a transition from like Activision Esports podcast type situation.
It's just Toronto Esports, but they're not associated with the Toronto teams. It's just their own podcast. I think they live in Toronto and they talk about their home teams.
Right. And like it's just very unfortunate because like they were up like they were a smaller podcast with a smaller like viewership audience, but they got put on the Reddit, the CompCod Reddit, and it just blew up. And it's because their take, I'm imagining most of you already saw this, but their take was basically that Seattle made a very bad decision.
A risky decision.
A very risky decision, and they were definitely not high on Looney joining the Ultra.
Mhm.
Or, I'm sorry, Looney joining the Seattle
Surge.
This is Surge.
Surge.
Seattle
Yeah.
Surge.
I
And
thought it was a risky pick because Looney's getting old. He didn't really play or do great except in World War II.
right. And so Crim basically roasted them for calling like Looney not like a teammate you want to have, or like someone that would be like risky. And yeah, exactly. And Crim went to town on him.
Mhm.
And like, I mean, he sent the whole pack of wolves right after.
It was
He sure did.
too much, man.
And
Too
like
much.
they got roasted.
Oh, yeah.
Roasted. And
Yeah.
like my initial reaction, like I tweeted, I was like, man, I actually feel bad for these guys. Like they were just having a good time talking COD, and Crimsix is like, this just pissed me off. Like he went to town on him. I mean, again, Crim, he rightfully said like Looney makes people better around him. And it's like and he said that's an often ignored attribute in COD because it can't be quantified, which I mean, that's very true.
Right.
And then he said the Ultra forced their roster of 10 to stay in Toronto in the middle of the pandemic, threatening to not pay non-starters if they went home. That was just like a free shot at Ultra.
That was just like out of nowhere, but it's like, okay.
Out of nowhere.
Nice to know. Good. All right.
I'm wondering if he just meant that like it put Looney in a really tough spot to like have a chance this year. Type like that kind of like whole framework was kind of like maybe what got Crim thinking about that for why he tweeted it. Or maybe just because it's a Toronto-based esports podcast and he was just pissed.
Yeah.
That might be.
Well, it seemed like they were associated with the Ultra too, which doesn't help the Ultra's case in their publicity either.
Yeah.
Or theirs. So it's like, but they're not. They're not associated.
I'll tell you what, this made me realize ain't nobody safe. Ain't no podcast safe, man.
Jeez.
I mean, these guys like
Put on your bulletproof
I
vest,
know.
You know how
guys.
scared
And,
I
like,
was.
this isn't like a roast. This isn't a roast to them at all. Like, I don't think they had the most viewership. Like,
No, yeah, they just were a smaller
they're
podcast.
a small podcast, and like the whole COD community was on
They're
their
a new
butts,
podcast.
bro.
Yeah.
Dude, they were just trying something. They were just having
Yeah.
a good time supporting their Toronto teams, trying to get
And
involved
so-
in their
and so
Toronto
I-
esports. And they just
And,
got
and so I text
blasted.
our good friend Shady here, and I say maybe we should tone it down on the JCap page just a small bit.
Dude, my mind went into emergency mode. I was ready to press that button, like emergency meeting. We like, if this happens, guys, this happens to us. What the hell are we doing, guys?
Basically, our plan is me and Josh are gonna tweet. We have no affiliation with.
Rex, you're on the podcast. What can I say? You're gone.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was
Rex
freaking.
Shady Nero was a one-time guest on our podcast. This was not a normal episode.
Just let everyone know this was so abnormal.
No, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I mean, again, we talked though about how JCap can be an in-game leader. Like we've
Yes.
talked about that for
No,
sure.
yeah.
It's just that
I haven't hated JCap that like he has
No.
his perks, but he was just
No,
bad in
and-
this
and,
season.
like, you've even said like it was just simply this season where like he has not shown like
and he ended up retiring. Like
yes. So like
Yeah.
that's very different.
when it's all said and done. Yeah.
Looney, I mean, and again, their take was definitely off.
Yes.
Like it was.
It was.
But like, I think we all wanted to focus on like it was a little outrageous, the toxic hate. Like you look at like the replies on that tweet, like their tweet that the clip that they actually tweeted of this
It was
was just like, shut up, you're terrible,
It was
never
bad.
talk ever again.
it was pretty terrible.
Like,
Like
wow.
like if we ever want COD esports to grow, like we can't be doing that. Like
That's
we can't
so
just be
bad.
shutting down everyone. Like come on, like tell them they're wrong, but like
In a nice
in a-
way.
like just like you know, whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Crim probably should have had a little bit more self-awareness.
Crim should have probably have not, you know, tweeted what he did. You know, it's probably like a gut reaction tweet. He was, you know, looking at it from his side, he was defending his friend Looney. And like, you know, because like Looney had a very weird season where he got like one chance, right? And it was just, you know, it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like these guys will probably, maybe they've got some hard hats on, and they'll come back into the COD scene, you know, do some podcasts on.
I'd imagine
they're
not going to talk about COD for a while.
But I think they're gonna stay away for a while.
Well,
so
they put out
you
a
know,
statement afterwards, like talking about it, and they just said that they stood by. They said it was just a risk.
Yeah.
But
I think you know, like that. That's potential people joining the community.
We were going to talk about, the announcement, you know, in a second, but I mean, it just wasn't a good situation overall at the end of the day. Let's move on. Let's move on and talk about the news of Paris, or like the original news was potentially a roster was interested in selling their spot. It sounded like people were clarifying that it seemed to be Paris was the one that was interested in selling their spot in the CDL. I mean, if any team was to sell their spot, it makes sense that it would be Paris. Yeah. I don't know how that would work. Like, if you sell your spot, is your city attached to the spot?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's what I was wondering too. Like, you would think it has to be, right? Like,
does it?
But like, would they really allow just like name changes in cities just to, like, go with selling? Like,
I think so. Right?
I guess I don't know. I feel like it would follow a more traditional sports, because like don't like professional sports team get sold all the time.
But you can also move your teams.
You can.
Like the Chargers just moved from San Diego to LA.
They can't change their names though, can they?
They can change their names.
They can. It's like, for instance, like Patriots could just not be Patriots anymore.
Yeah, like the Colts. They used to be the Baltimore Colts before they were the Baltimore Ravens.
That is weird, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess.
Yeah. It is not. It's just really rare.
It would be so strange, though. I guess it would make sense to like do it like right now, though. Like within the first. Like,
I mean, what do you think caused what? I mean, like we really legitimately don't have any information on why or what or how. It was just a rumor that popped up, so we really don't know any more information right now as a COD scene.
Yeah.
I mean, Rex, what are your initial thoughts on Paris, and like what do you think of the validity of the rumor, and where could it head?
I mean, I don't think they're going to be sold this season. Maybe, I feel like it may be one of those situations where it's like a team like Rise or, you know, United or whatever, like 100 Thieves were like, since they can't get in this year, they're like, well, we'll just buy one of the franchises. And Paris may be that franchise that is like going to be the most willing out of all of them to sell the spot. But
yeah, I mean,
don't know if that's actually going to happen. I feel like it's not going to happen. I feel like it would have happened if it was going to happen by now.
Interesting. I feel like
you would think so.
My thought is like on paper, it kind of makes sense because like when you pair it with the news of how they're treating Rostermania right now, like hold on, wait as long as possible type like strategy they're pulling for Rostermania right now, where they're literally just not committing to anything, as if they're trying to sell their spot. Like they're like we don't want to be in this league anymore. Sell. Don't sign a team.
Man, that's just such a weird mindset. Like you have to think like putting up the 25 mil. Like you know you get a business loan.
You're gonna feel long term.
You gotta think long term, right? Like yes, there was some very like with COVID and very unfortunate things, and like were they like that short? Were they that short on cash flow that they're just like they just can't do it anymore?
I mean, it has to be a cash flow situation, right?
It's crazy. Yeah,
that like something changed for them, and like maybe the pandemic hit them harder than they thought it was. I mean, they probably took some losses on like canceling their home series. Because I was at the venue for the Challengers one, and like that was a nice venue.
That's right.
And then they had it for 2 weekends, and they couldn't even use it the second time around at all, and they made no money on it either time. So they probably took some pretty big L's this year. But yeah, it's just like their strategy going into last year was to sign like a cheap team, and then we kind of saw the results. The season was just kind of like,
You almost wonder if they just like went into it with like not the right mindset. Like they're like, let's just try to cash in on this Call of Duty thing. Let's like put up, a team, sign like for the bare minimum, and just ride like the merchandise sales. You know,
Their
like,
vision was just a weird vision.
it must have just been like not because like to like bow out after the first season. Again, this is all rumors.
Let's just say like in a world where they actually end up selling.
It just seems so strange to me.
It is like
I mean, it has to be pandemic. Like it's just the only
right.
way.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Like pandemic related in a world like that where they really aren't able to build the brand they wanted to build. Maybe they wanted to develop, they wanted to host their home series, develop like the Paris and France like COD scene. And then we're not gonna be able to have home series for another year in Paris at least. Like if we're doing a home series, it's not gonna be in Paris. Yeah. Okay, it's gonna be in Dallas or Chicago or something this next year.
Right.
It's not gonna be in freaking Paris. So it's like it's gonna be at least 2 years till they have a home series again. They're like, well, I mean, bonjour.
There you go.
We out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they sold, what one city would you want to see? If it's not connected to Paris, what one city do you want to see? Based off the Boston rumors, based off the Rise rumors, I feel like it'd either be Boston or Detroit.
Honestly, Boston for me, because then you can have the Boston-New York like rivalry.
Yeah, the inherent Boston-New York rivalry. That'd be sick.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for Boston. Like I do like the Sydney, Australia. Like
the idea of having an Australia team,
but it seems like it might not be like
in a
ready
pandemic
for it yet.
Right now,
like
I
so,
agree.
like maybe hold off on the Sydney. But yeah, Boston would be sick.
Washington D.C. feel like has to happen at some point.
That'd be cool.
Denver, I'd be very excited about. It's
Kansas City would be awesome.
Yeah, about Kansas. Come on, man.
I know, that'd be awesome. Close to home.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like if like the one positive thing that would come out of it would be like hopefully like Rise would buy it, or like 100 Thieves, or
the San Diego Thieves, something like that.
So,
that'd be sick.
But yeah, that'd be weird to have
dream.
Paris just be in there for 1 year and then no more.
Yeah,
it'd be strange.
It would
It'll
be
a
weird.
relic. They'll just like go down in fame, being part of the first season, doing terrible, and then they were
remember the time they made the semifinals.
Remember that one team from the first year Call of Duty, Paris?
Yeah. Crazy times.
That was crazy times, man.
Yeah.
The other piece of news the other two pieces of news I wanted to real quickly hit, I guess, was like the mention of Shotzzy, and the kind of the background of that was how Shotzzy was nearly going to be on Ultra's bench last year if Huke wasn't able to make the transition back to Envy. Because if you remember at the end of the year, Envy loaned Huke
into Splice, right?
to Splice.
Yeah.
And like there was a world where Huke was going to be staying on Splice, and they had to buy him out from the loan, apparently. They had to buy out the loan.
Yeah.
And Huke like was basically like forced the play by taking a $100K pay cut.
Yeah.
From his $100K contract pay cut to make sure he could make it back to Empire to play with Shotzzy on Empire. And but Shotzzy would have been on the bench for the Ultra, dude. That'd have been crazy.
It would have been
he might not even get a chance to play, which is the crazy thing.
That's my question. So Rex, Sam, do you guys think Shotzzy ends up being as good as he was at some point this year if he was on the Toronto Ultra the whole time?
No, he wouldn't be as good as he is now. No way. I don't even know if he would. Like, I don't know if they would plan on putting Shotzzy in a starting spot. They might have just put him on the bench. Like people are talking with the mental right now. Like mental would be a sub spot, and same thing to do with like Shotzzy's. Like, let's see how he does, and like I don't know.
Here's the thing with that too. Like, even if he did get a starting spot, though, I think Clay and Crim had a huge impact on who he is as a player.
Same.
It's like he would not have had that same growth. Like, but Shotzzy is disgusting.
What if Shotzi's the one thing Looney needed, and then Looney and him, with methods? Yeah,
maybe Looney
Kleenex.
Yeah,
Huke's there then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe.
And also maybe Clay goes to Toronto to play with Huke and Shotzzy. I guess everything could have changed.
I guess like a lot of dominoes could have fallen. Right?
Yeah, who knows?
But like just saying, like strictly,
let's just say Huke and Shotzzy were on that team with that roster.
If Empire was still Empire without Shotzzy
and Huke
and Huke, I think Clay and Crim were like
they were instrumental in that team.
Think about like Shotzi's first LAN event. Like he was probably freaking out a little bit, right? Yeah. Holy crap!
He went like what was it, 0.7 or something, 0.6?
Yeah. I think Clay and Crim took him and be like, drown out the noise.
Grind.
you're
Two
good.
like
And
some of the
it's-
best people to have in that situation. Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they have so much clout, so it's like
Yeah, you'll listen to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shotzi would have become amazing over the years if he stayed on Ultra, but I think he would not have been as good as he was without Clan Crim on the side. So
I agree.
That'd be my answer.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, makes sense. I like it. Yeah, the other thing I want to mention actually when it comes to like the teams or what team would you want to see? Hastro, I don't know if this has any validity besides his just personal opinion, but I thought it was interesting. He said he wanted Boston, Phoenix, Madrid, and Sydney. So he did mention a lot of those same spots. Phoenix is interesting.
Phoenix would be cool.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I mean, they have like some pretty good infrastructure for esports in Phoenix.
They do.
Mhm.
But there isn't really any like place there yet. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd be down for a Phoenix team. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it's probably just his personal opinion doesn't have any real
I
validity.
think so. Yeah.
But maybe there's some sort of
You never
secret,
know.
he knows something we don't type situation.
You think there's got to be a sitting team at some point, right? Like
I hope so.
that'd be cool. But it's probably way in the future for Sydney.
I mean, to
honestly.
be
Hopefully-
honest, I would love to see like a South American team of some sort. Whether it's
That would
like
be cool.
Mexico, Brazil, like anything like that. I feel like that would be really cool to see
Right.
an esports team from there.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think we talked about this last week, but like
God,
Hastro on the eavesdrop said that he wanted to have 8 more teams in the CDL.
He did.
And
Mhm.
so, I mean, hey, it's possible, I guess. I mean, I'd be surprised if we go like that internationally. Like if we had like a Madrid, a Sydney, and a Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
plus a Canada. So we have like 5 countries,
Yep.
6 countries competing in the CDL.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty crazy if we actually had that going.
Mm-hmm.
Be awesome.
But I'm just not sure if it's plausible.
Yeah.
Not
you
right
know,
now,
at the end
not
of the
with
day.
pandemic, but
No.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not. But all right. Do you want to head into segment 1 here?
Let's do her.
Press button that I don't have.
You remember one thing from today, it's this. The mind is the only weapon that doesn't need a holster.
All right. Looking back, where were we right? Where were we wrong? So basically, back if for those of you who watched this podcast when we made these predictions, shout out to you guys, the OGs of the
Man.
Best of 3 podcast. But we made some predictions. The all the categories was who's going to miss out on the playoffs, the MVP, which obviously ended up changing, the MVP, Dark Horse, Rookie of the Year, the Sleeper of the Year, and then Best AR, Best SMG, Best Flex, and then the Best Hardpoint, S&D Dom teams, and a Champion prediction. So we're going to go through the kind of a few of these things and talk about the results of the season and where we were right, where we were wrong, and some of the interesting thoughts that happened and what we can learn about our predictions this year to take into our predictions for next year. All right? So, with that in mind, with all of that in mind, let's talk about the playoff. Our first prediction was who's going to miss out on the playoffs. All right. So, Sam, you predicted the Ultra, LAG, Paris, and Minnesota. I predicted Ultra, LAG, Paris, and Florida. Rex also predicted Ultra, Paris, and LAG, but then had New York. So we all actually had a different 4th team, but had the same core of Ultra, LAG, and Paris. So, Rex,
really
what are your
didn't
initial
trust
thoughts?
Ultra.
No, we didn't.
I mean, no one could have predicted that. I mean, well, technically, no one missed out on playoffs, right? But
Right, that was the first thing. But the bottom
we
4.
we could say Seattle and Paris. So it's like Seattle. I think we had no idea Seattle was going to be as bad as they were. Zero
Yeah.
clue.
And then LA Optic finished, in the bottom 4 as well. So that was unpredictable basically in any way, and unfathomable that roster of 4 would have finished in the bottom 4. I mean, we all nailed the LAG Paris.
Yeah.
We all nailed that. But like that seemed, at the time, that seemed about as obvious as it would get, because the news, like when we made this back, like this was like a week or two before, maybe the week before CDL Minnesota, the launch event. I mean, there was only negative news about LAG and Paris at that point.
Yeah.
But Sam, you picked Minnesota,
I
which
was
is
gonna
interesting.
say, I think I won this one.
I think you got 3 of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Minnesota stunk.
Well, Minnesota was 8th. So yeah, I mean, you got out of like the final finishes, you had the best, lowest overall average.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because Toronto finished 7th. So you had the 7th place team, the 8th place team,
Oh, were you going by? Oh, okay.
the 10th place team,
I was going by
and the 12th place team.
champs.
I was going
placings.
by champs too.
You're going by overall.
Oh well, yeah, because I think we were. Oh really? Because we were thinking about who's missing out on the playoffs, which is solely based off the regular season.
All right, so we can go. Okay, so based off the regular season. Okay, cool.
I see. Maybe I didn't win.
Well, I mean, no, I think you did win because you still had the 7th place team, the 8th place team, the 10th place team, and the 12th place team.
True.
Versus like me having Florida, Rex having New York.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
So
good job, Sam.
Congrats, Sam.
Hey,
with your Minnesota pick.
Bro, I
Minnesota,
knew that was
Minnesota.
You knew it, bro.
I knew it was going to happen.
Dude, why did we think so bad of Ultra? It's just like, we thought Ultra was not going to be good. They were like the first people we wrote down, too.
I think we just saw like they had 10
weren't,
people.
and they weren't like streaming their scrims. And like at that point, there was only bad news about like them getting smoked in scrims and the no idea which roster is going to play, and Kleenex wasn't in the starting lineup, and all of that combined was just was ugly.
I think I was so distasteful of like the 10-man roster. It was like, it just seems like a recipe for disaster, which it ended up being okay for them.
They ended up being the biggest surprise, at least for me, of the whole year by far, was how well that ended up playing out.
And honestly, their big rosters, in a way, somewhat helped them. They were able to keep changing guys in and trying different things, and they ended up with what they had, which was pretty dang good.
Yeah, which is really interesting. So moving on, we had our MVP pick next, which is a big one here.
No, man, I was off.
So Rex picked Priesta, which is interesting. I mean, he ended up being more OBJ focused than like I think all of us thought.
Yeah.
And then Sam had Illy.
I sure did.
But we were all high on Illy, and who wasn't high on Illy going into the season?
Illy wasn't a bad. Illy easily could have been in that conversation.
Well, he clutched up in the end.
He did clutch up.
Yeah.
He sure did.
But like overall, when you look at like the season,
in
the regular season, he definitely was not an MVP. And then I had Simp. So I was at least I had a nominee.
You had
but I mean everyone. That was the most obvious preseason
very
prediction.
low-hanging fruit.
Very low-hanging fruit. So I mean, at the end of the day, it ended up being Shotzi. And I think I'm going to skip the dark horse for a second and talk about our Rookie of the Year predictions, where we unanimously...
we were so confident.
We unanimously selected Illy as the Rookie of the Year. I think we were all very confident.
I don't think that was a bad decision. That wasn't a terrible decision at the time.
Because like, again, we didn't know...
I mean, Shotzi was very risky.
Yeah.
Illy still could have been rookie.
We didn't know Mac was going to be a thing.
Didn't know Mac was going to be
Awakening
a thing.
was going to be a thing. So
yeah,
it's just like guys. Those were So at the end of the day, it was basically between Illy and Shotzi
in
most people's minds, and you're like, all right, well, I guess we'll take Illy. But yeah, and Shotzi was just surprising to say the least.
Yeah.
So our dark horse team prediction was. Sam had Florida as the dark horse team. Who would have thought? Dude, you knew Awakening was coming.
I knew this whole thing.
And me and Rex both had London as the dark horse team, which, I mean, in end all be all,
it kind of actually was.
They were the dark horse of the CoD Champs.
Yeah, like Champs for sure. They were definitely the dark horse.
But throughout the regular season, they were kind of just disappointing.
Unfortunately.
All things considered. Rex or Sam would know better than anyone.
Yeah, I was so mad because the one time I gave up on them, they actually performed. So... Wow.
And then, who in your mind ended up being the dark horse of the year? Toronto, right? Toronto would have been the right pick.
Toronto, I think, is the right pick. Florida, I mean, depends what you're counting, but yeah, probably Toronto. I mean, but they picked it up near the end. Florida was strong near the beginning-ish, middle-ish.
I was going to say Optic, but I think everyone thought Optic was going to be pretty good.
Top 4. Everyone had Optic top 4.
So
yeah. So Toronto would have been the right pick there.
Yeah.
So then we had a sleeper, it was the sleeper player of the year. So a player who was just extremely underrated going into this season.
Oh man, Rex.
Rex had GodRx.
You almost could have destroyed that one.
So Rex nailed that one for the first half of the year.
Yeah. First half of the year, I killed that. I remember even talking about this. I was like, GodRx is so good. You guys like, GodRx. You guys thought it was crazy.
So
I was definitely on the GodRx bandwagon.
I wasn't.
Sam was not.
Because Rex was so hyped. I'm like, dude, stop talking about GodRx. Like, he's not that good.
But you accepted that one after the first few events. Sam had Pristini, which was interesting throughout the year.
Yeah, he was.
Is he still a sleeper?
I think he still kind of is a sleeper. Like honestly,
yeah.
I feel like he'll always be a sleeper.
He's kind of just that.
Like the role he plays.
But this year, I mean, he's gonna have a new role this year. He's not gonna be. He's gonna be playing as a Slayer.
Yeah, which would be super cool to see. Like,
and same thing with Attach. So I mean, Attach, I think kind of he never really busted out as like I'm here.
Yeah, it was
like
more
this
just
year,
like,
he played in a very important OBJ
he
style
played his
role.
role well.
Yeah, he played his role well, but So I think Attach and Pristine are in the same boat where this year they have to be main Slayers.
Yeah.
So they could be sleepers. I might have to double up on Attach back-to-back years.
Yeah. But Rex, you definitely won that one.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Best AR of the year. We didn't go out of line here. Sam said formal. Shocker. Who would have thought? Rex agreed with him and said formal as well. I went Octane, which
really
could be debated.
Could be debatably
right.
But you have to throw Skies in there.
Right.
You gotta
Skies
throw,
and like and I mean, if you're not counting flex, I mean, technically, we also did best flex of the year.
Yeah.
We're like, that's a little bit different, obviously. But yeah, best AR of the year, you could debate Skies, Slasher, Waskin, and a handful of others.
Yeah.
Obviously, to say the least.
Yeah.
I'll give that one to Josh, I think.
Pretty good one. I mean,
Octane was solid.
I think Octane's a good pick.
I mean, that was a pretty obvious pick coming off of BO4, though. That's a low-hanging fruit as well.
There were some, there's always going to be some arguments of whether Octane really was that good this year or not.
We need to do a bold predictions episode where we only give
super
deep cut predictions. I think that'll be a fun one. We'll definitely do that.
Get roasted.
Yeah, but maybe that's where we'll pull out the Awakening will be the MVP for multiple events. Yeah, real hot predictions.
Okay.
Best SMG of the year was interesting as well. Rex pulled out the Illy as the best SMG of the year, which is an interesting hot one.
I guess that makes sense if you were thinking he's a
rookie of the year type.
Rookie of the year
yeah. Sam said Simp, and I said a Beezy, so we were really going safe there.
Real safe.
I mean, you probably ended up being right. I mean, Simp was probably the best SMG of the year. It's him or Shotzi.
Shotzi, probably, honestly. Yeah.
Well, Abizi was pretty good, too.
Oh, and at the end of the year, Abizi really turned up. I mean, he was playing solid for sure, and he's so valuable to teams, of course, with how he plays objectively and how he assists his teammates and enters and all. But at the end of the year, he started slaying out and showed how good he really is. So, Sam, I think you got that one.
I think probably give it to Simp, but
Yep. And then best flex of the year, which is an interesting one. Sam said Arcides. I said Gunless.
Rip.
And Rex was on that Priesta bandwagon.
Man.
I mean, you got to give that one to Arcides.
Yeah.
You think so?
Out of us three there. Best flex of the year was Celium, though, on the year, for sure. And that's probably not even close to debated.
I would agree. Yep.
But Gunless, wasn't as good as normal.
Yeah. I mean, really couldn't.
I think he was good
so much.
Yeah, I know. He just
had the whole time,
cut.
maybe. But.
Yeah, exactly. He got screwed real bad. But yeah, you won that one as well, Sam. So back to back for you. All right, so now we have some team predictions. We had best hardpoint, best S&D, and best Dom teams. I mean, best hardpoint teams. Sam said Atlanta. Rex said Atlanta. I remember saying this. I was like, I want to go a little bit more interesting. I said London, which ended up definitely not being right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Atlanta, it's a pretty good pick there.
It's a good pick.
On the year, they were probably the best hardpoint team. I mean, on the season.
Probably.
They were the most consistent. Best S&D team, Sam said Empire. I said Empire. And Rex said Atlanta, which is interesting. Going off brand for him. Going Atlanta for those first hardpoint S&D teams.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the end of the day, Empire was the best S&D team.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, at the end of the season. On the year, though, you could debate that it was Atlanta.
But they were I feel like they were sort of split with that one. It's sort of even. But then, near the end, Empire picked it up.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it was definitely split during the year. But I guess real quick, I want to pull up the year stats. To kind of give us an idea statistically of who actually was the best team.
Bro, what was I doing?
Oh, no. Are you looking ahead already?
I'm sorry. I'm still on topic.
Wow, okay, so in hardpoint, in win percentage on the season, the Huntsmen were the best hardpoint team. FaZe was second in win percentage. S&D, it was FaZe in win percentage, and then Huntsman second, Empire third. Domination
wasn't Surge.
Well, to be fair,
Surge. Oh my god.
Okay, well, Sam predicted the Surge, which they were the 5th best on the season win percentage, and for them, it was by far their best game mode.
That was the best game
So
mode.
I mean, hey, take that. It's a small victory.
I'll take it.
I predicted the Huntsman, and Rex predicted Empire, which ended up being definitely true. Empire was the best Dom team. FaZe was second.
You know what I think I was thinking? I was thinking like there's a lot of veterans on that team, and
They
they're
know how
gonna
to
be
play Dom.
smart. They know how to play Dom.
Which again, out of how bad they were, statistically, they were actually really good at Dom compared to the other game modes.
Yeah.
So, based off that, maybe you're right.
Maybe
and
I'm
then
right.
the end all be all the beefy call here. We all had, again, my situation was, so Rex chose the Empire, Sam chose the Empire, and I decided to go the Huntsman route.
Oh, man.
Honestly, don't know why. I'm surprised I did because
they have Envoy. They get champs.
oh my word, I don't even think that was the reason why. I actually want to go back and listen to why I said that.
Was that when his love started?
No, I'm pretty sure that was way later though. When that whole Envoy thing started. But yeah, I had the Huntsman. I actually don't remember why I said that. It might have just been contrarian. It might have been like you guys both took Empire, and I was like,
and then you're like, well,
Huntsman.
yeah, I could see that. I'm surprised no one picked FaZe though.
I know. After all of how much we picked, how much we all hyped
After
up
we were
FaZe.
like Atlanta for like almost every
I'm
single
surprised
one.
I didn't take FaZe.
Yeah.
I'm curious what we said when we chose that.
I
Yeah, I
know.
might have to go back and listen to that because I am interested to hear
like,
it.
I'm surprised I picked I'm surprised I picked Empire. I don't know why I would have picked Empire
Over the Huntsman.
over the Huntsman. So yeah, that's weird. Oh well.
It is weird. But yeah, I mean, any other thoughts on like going back and looking at the predictions and anything else? Anything else in mind?
I will say and point out, and I think we've hit this before, but I know a lot of people want to write off Modern Warfare this season as kind of like not real. However, I think even with these predictions, I think we see that the people that thought we're going to be a top 3, top 4 were top 3, top 4. Like we thought,
will it play out again?
Yeah, like we thought FaZe was gonna be really good. We thought Empire's gonna be really good. We thought Huntsman's gonna be really good.
And we nailed
And we
the
got
season long 2 worst teams.
Yeah.
Gorillas and Paris season long.
So I guess I just want to say, like, yeah, you can write it off for online, but I think we did see people who we thought were gonna be good, and
we thought we're good on LAN.
yeah. So I don't know. There's something we said there that it's not invalid just because it's online. I think you do. I think skill still shows through online. Yes, yes, there are those anomalies that sucks, right? But
and there's gonna be fluky moments.
Yeah.
But like the big picture, like we see it. The online in the big picture still shows where the value lies with players, with teams, how they play, and like that plays out. It's like
yes.
in a certain, if you nitpick one game, like one S&D or one hardpoint or one Dom, you could say, chalk that one up to internet.
Yep.
And in certain situations, maybe with LA Optic, you're like, all right, well, this season, the online might have actually been a real problem for them after we saw how they were when they moved to Dallas.
Yep.
But in the big picture for most teams on like a season long aspect, it's like, it is fairly valid, like the information that we can take away from the season. I think.
Yeah,
I do agree with you.
And that is just trying to be positive. Like, we're not saying like just because, again, like with the Optic fan, like we did see a change when they moved, so like that could have been fluky. But I think just trying to pull out some positives. For the most part, good players played well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So, I mean, I think it's time to play a little bit of a game here.
I like games
and have some fun with this.
personally.
So let's get into our Rostermania God Squad Draft. Let's get it.
Hello, you play to win the game.
Time to play a game, baby.
Woo!
Let's get
Woo!
it. So I'm going to change the screen here so you guys can see what we're seeing. And bang, there you go. There's what we're seeing. Hot fire.
That is hot fire.
Hot fire
Wow.
right there.
Beautiful.
So, how is it going to go? How is it going to work? The ground rules for our Rostermania God Squad Draft. So basically, we're going to be trying to put together the best roster possible.
Yes.
And we're going to be drafting against each other. It's just kind of more fun than anything. But I want you guys to explain your picks, how you're building your squads.
Yep.
And we're going to have 5 players and a coach.
Whoa.
And you can draft the coach at any time. So if you want to snag your guy, you can pick him a little bit earlier. You can wait till the end. It's kind of up to you how you want to build your team. So we're doing 4 starters, your sub. So designate when you're drafting your sub. In theory, if you wanted to draft your sub before, I would be surprised if you did, but you could in theory draft your sub like at 3 or something. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, so designate who your sub is. And then, of course, you draft a coach at some point in these 6 rounds.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 6 rounds. 18 people are going to be drafted.
Oh,
15 players.
I love drafts.
It's about to be a good one. So, Sam, you're going to be on the board first, and then it's going to be a snake draft. So it'll go Sam, Rex, then me. Then in the second round, it goes me, Rex, Sam. All right. And then we'll kind of go back and forth like that. Snake draft style. And that's how it's going to go. So, Sam, you got that first pick. Who you got?
Bada bing, my man.
You're not even going to spell it right.
Oh, shoot. I didn't do
You got
that.
to miss the Z, bro. Come
No,
on.
whoa. Okay, I'm messing up the format here.
Shotzi's a good pick.
All right.
Bro,
You
My
got
turn?
Shotzi.
I got Shotzi.
You got Shotzi.
I got
Wow,
Shotzi.
101 Shotzi.
I don't, I could explain this, but do I need to?
But I mean, I guess it is kind of the debate. Him,
Yeah.
Simp.
Yeah. Shotzi for me is just so, the potential is just so high. Like, he literally won MVP his rookie year. Not rookie of the year. He won MVP.
Man, I just realized that sucks. I'm not gonna. Okay, Rex. I mean, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if Rex goes where. I mean, I think most people would go here.
Yes.
Or is he gonna take the unbeaten path?
Take a coach, bro.
It's
Snubsy.
between two. It's between two players for
Come on,
me.
man.
It's just kind of a tough decision. I think what I'm gonna do though, I'm gonna go with a BZ for my pick. I would pick Simp.
Interesting.
I would pick Simp, but a BZ was really,
Interesting.
really
Bro, you're gonna
impressing
give
me
Josh
at
a
the end of the
good-
season.
Let's
Dude.
go.
Rex, what
Let's
do you-
go. I get the best flex and the best sub.
Bro, you just gave Josh a real good team.
Oh, let's go. This is Rex. You gonna type this thing in?
I'm looking at the wrong one. Hold on.
Oh, I got you. I typed it in for you. All right.
Okay.
Rex got Celium. Okay, so
I got a BZ.
A BZ.
oh, I'm dumb because I was already thinking
You
about
were
my
thinking
pick.
Celium, yeah.
Obviously, I'm going Simp and Celium. This is
Oh,
an
bro.
easy pick for
That's
me.
unfortunate.
I've got the duo, the phase duo, Simp Celium, off the rip. I could not be more excited. The best sub, the best flex. Get him in, baby.
So it's
I'm
my
hyped.
turn now.
So
sure
that,
is.
that was a really easy pick. I mean, again, I'm building. I mean, like I feel like that was just like a write 'em in type situation. Like I wanted either Simp or a BZ, and I wanted Celium, and so I'm pretty hyped about that. Rex, who you got?
Going with Envoy.
Oh wow, really? Huh?
I am taking a
Envoy.
BZ and Envoy.
You
That's
literally
awesome.
just pulled that card 2 minutes ago, and then you take Envoy.
He's a good
That's
pickup.
amazing. That's
What
actually
in the
amazing.
world?
It's a decent duo right there.
He like just so like nonchalantly took him after just roasting him 2 minutes ago.
That's fantastic.
Wow. I mean, okay, so you're going Envoy or BZ. What's your thought process there? I mean, like,
So for a BZ, like I already said, then Envoy, I think he has that leadership potential. He's also an astounding sub player. I think he has a good mind for the game, and I think he'll be able to keep up
talking.
with that Simp and Celium thing. you
You're
got
literally
going.
gassing up Josh right now. Just let you know.
I do like the idea of going SMG in the first 2 rounds because we know how valuable they are. But because there's only 3 of us drafting, I feel like there'll be enough solid SMGs left for me on the next time around, which is why I went with Celium, who I have just a lot of faith in.
Yeah.
So Sam, you've got 2 picks here.
Sure do.
Kind of getting your core of team together. You've got Shotzi,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, okay. RCs.
Okay, I mean, I would expect it.
Yeah.
I would expect it.
Mhm.
And then I'm actually going to pick an AR next.
Really? You're
I
going?
sure am.
You're going RCDs?
Slasher.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yes.
His name's not formal, bro.
I know.
Mm.
So formal, I do apologize.
Wow.
Um,
Dude, RCs and slasher teaming would be really interesting.
I think Slasher is, if I'm,
See, but the thing is, RCDs wants to run a main AR. You're forcing him to flex here. He wants to run
I am.
a main AR. I mean, so
Yeah.
now you're having another debate here.
I am. I think
Wow.
I really wanted the leadership here a lot. And I think RCs and Slasher can work together.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's ballsy. That's
Yeah.
ballsy. I don't know if I agree with that one.
Okay.
I actually hate it.
Okay, cool.
I'm kidding.
I'm glad.
Rex, all right, you're on the board here. Who's the guy you're looking at? Who you got?
So right now, all of you know, I really want Clayster on my team, of course. Just because of that leadership potential, I think he brings a lot to a team. Or I am verging on the side of like, I know Abizi and Clayster don't have the best relationship. I guess.
Yeah.
As far as we know, as my guess, might be wrong, but since that's the case, I guess I can't really take Clayster, so I'm going to go more towards a talent direction, and I'm going to take Octane as my AR. Yeah.
I was dreaming of a world where Octane got back to me. I was surprised you didn't take Octane.
I know. It was a tough choice.
Because a Shotzzy Octane Arcides or a Shotzzy, just Octane would have been pretty nasty. But Rex is in a pretty nice squad here. A BZ Envoy Octane. But I got to say, I'm pretty excited about my options here. So, I mean, there's one guy. Oh, man. There's 3 guys who I would love to take here. But I feel like I can make an unbelievable team. An unbelievable team if I go this route right here. I'm going to switch it over to the screen so they can see this. I'm taking Illy and Dashy. Simp, Cell, Illy, Dashy. Are you kidding me? That team is unbelievable. Give me the trophy. I could not even have.
I don't think that's a winning team. But
where's the leadership on that team?
Simp, kind of.
Who needs the leadership? They're all godly. It's a talent squad. What can I say?
Okay.
I really wanted to get Dashy as my flex. I thought that would have been pretty hot fire, and I kind of hope Octane would fill into that leadership role. Envoy has it too, but Octane has that veteran sort of style leadership that puts me in a tough position. So I need a flex player.
I mean, Nubsy is still on the board. You can get the duo of Octane and Nubsy. The roommates.
Pass on that one.
Bro, I can't believe what I'm hearing.
Yeah, bro.
I kind of, man, dude, this is a tough one. Do I go with a gunless? Do I take gunless and hope kind of for the best with that situation? I just don't know how much I trust gunless with that, but
wow.
Kenny?
Take your time. Oh, he is taking all of his time.
He's
I
frozen.
guess I'm going to go. Yeah, I guess I'm going with gunless.
That's
I
a
think
fun team.
Gunless is going to be my guy.
That's a fun team. So you've got right now,
Interesting.
you're rocking a BZ Envoy Octane Gunless.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting team. I mean, you got the Envoy Gunless pairing again from last year, which debatably, I'm not sure how that went. Now you've got the Octane Gunless pairing of this year, and you throw in a BZ on that squad. That is a interesting squad, to say the least.
It has the potential to be nasty or fall apart.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, okay, Sam, you can finish out your roster here of your starting lineup. You're currently rocking Shotzzy, Arcides, Slasher, looking for your fourth and your sub or a coach. Which way you going here, Samuel? Oh, he's going full quietness, and he got Priesta. That makes sense. I like that a lot.
I think Priesta would round out the squad.
That's a nice squad.
He's got some good chemistry.
Arcides is teaming with him right now.
Arcides.
Slasher teamed with him last year. Well, 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I'm going with. I think it's going to be a nasty squad, honestly. I do. I think the motivation to win is here.
Yeah.
This is a winning squad, I think. But so, for my fifth one, though, do I go for a sub or do I go for a coach?
That is interesting.
My man Rambo.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Go for Rambo.
Dude, that was an interesting play. I
Yeah.
like the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
is there any thought besides, are you just like, what's the strategy of going coach here?
I think I was looking for someone that can command respect from these guys. Rambo is one that's been in the scene for a long time, and then offer some sort of insight, which I think Rambo just is able to know Call of Duty, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he helped Empire a lot. Not saying he was the sole reason for the success, but I think he was able to bring a fresh pair of eyes. And you know, I think this is someone that Slasher is able to at least respect, because that's the hard part.
Someone that was in the scene before him.
Yeah, that's the hard part of having someone like Slasher on your team with a coach. It's like you need someone not like a Nubsy. Maybe Crowder could work there, but yeah,
right.
I like that.
That's
I
kind
like
of my
it.
thought
I like
process.
it. That's cool.
Okay.
So I feel like if you're gonna get a coach, you need to get. That's the guy who had to work with your team.
Yes.
I like it. Okay, Rex.
Okay.
Which direction you going?
So I'm going for a sub pick because Gunless is kind of my, fire character. He's the guy who's probably going to be the one that's either in or out.
Yeah.
If
So
things
you
are going
need
bad,
a good fallback.
I need a good fallback, and that is going to be Major Maniac
What?
as my next
Really?
in line. Yep. I think because it's not like I'm
Wow.
going to go for the super strong. Like he has that potential to fill in those shoes, and still we could be a solid squad, even be great.
Interesting.
Interessante is what I would say.
Wow. This leaves me with a really interesting pick here. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to think about the sub spot here. Like, do I want to think of him more as as the nice guy to have around, or like a guy who's actually going to play?
Gonna play. Yeah.
Because I mean, let's be honest. What are the odds he actually plays?
Yeah.
No matter who it is.
Probably not very high with that team. Not very
Not
high.
very high.
I can go for votes here.
You very well could.
I could go for some major votes
You
here.
could go with some, BTH.
I could go scump and
I
get
know
some
you could.
major votes here.
You could also go for BTH Maniac and
I could go for Maniac. Get
Yeah.
some streaming power.
some streaming power.
Some streaming power.
Bose is also a solid option.
So I don't know if I want to go for the realistic sub or pick a guy who is just nasty and then I just kind of pair him with him, or do I go leadership here as well as a coach?
You could go coach, but then the sub that's
Coach
also a
wise,
coach.
I'm going to go Crowder.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Crowder. So I mean, he's going to get taken.
That makes sense.
So I got Crowder as my coach, and now I need to think about my substitute. So I mean, realistically, I want that Crowder, Celium, Simp. He's used to working with the young guys. He's pairing with Celium and Simp.
That only
You're bringing in
makes sense.
Illy and Dashy.
Yep.
Crowder's kind of the nice voice to have on that team. And he's now, instead of being the sixth voice, he's the fifth voice,
Yes.
which is a tie-breaking vote and everything else. So overall, I think that's going to be really important. And in 4v4, coaches have even more importance with the tie-breaking votes aspect of how they want to make decisions for the team. So since this is my last pick, I'm going to throw out some names I'm kind of considering here. I mean, obviously Pharaoh is still on the board. Skies is still on the board.
There's a lot of great
Zuma,
players.
Attach,
Holy cow.
Clay, Crim, Scump, Formal
Horrible.
is still on the
I
board.
know. So sad.
And so any of those guys make a lot of sense. Obviously, there's so many other great players that are still on the board, which is just crazy. Obviously, Huke is still on the board. So I could just
Oh my
form
God,
the
yeah.
God
No.
squad of young guys. Simp, Cell, Illy, Dashy, and Huke.
It's crazy, honestly.
I mean,
Going for it?
I'm going to full send.
Okay.
I'm going to full send. Take Simp, Cell, Illy, Dashy, Huke. I mean, here's the thing too. You gotta Wait.
think.
I have the roster from the throwback tournament from the
You sure
BO2.
do.
I have the Cell, Illy, Dashy, right? That was the team. No. Oh no, it was Cell, Illy, Dashy, Huke. Wasn't that the team
I think it was
from the throwback tournament?
because
No,
Dashy
shots. No, shots. He's supposed to be up, but then Cello played. I think.
Yeah. So it was Cell. That's funny. But
the
yeah,
other thing too,
so
just in case, what if one of them comes down with Rona? Who might need to come in for
Yeah,
a
there
I
you
don't
go,
mind
there you
your
go.
roster, Sam. I think you actually have a pretty solid, good roster there.
you don't mind his roster?
Which
Wait, are you
means
trying
you
to say
hate
I
Josh's
think
roster.
you have Empire vibe roster there.
That's
be
weird.
honest.
I don't know.
Slasher with the
Rex,
leadership, RC shots. It's solid.
You're going for your coach here.
Dude. All right. Who are the other coaches? We got Marky B, Joey Nubsy,
Ricky
Sender?
Ricky Atura.
Sender,
Oh, Sender.
Saints.
Saints.
Nubsy.
Saints.
I mean,
Pac-Man was a coach for a while.
So, if I have a coach, I need someone who can
why do you seem really
Bring-
uninspired?
the good vibes.
Yeah.
So, part of me does want to pick Joey Nubsy.
Bro, you got the duo. You can get the duo, man.
Because
Octane and
Joey
Joey.
Nubsy, I feel like, can kind of keep things cool and collected. I think Joey Nubsy was friends with like Gunless a little bit. He's friends with Octane.
Oh, he coached Envoy last year on Gen G and BO4.
Are you actually?
And Major Maniac. He coached Envoy and Major Maniac in BO4, and he coached Gunless last year. So he has 3 of your 5 he's already coached.
Yeah. So I think for the sheer fact that he has connections to pretty much everybody here, I'm going to go with Joey
Never
Nubsy.
in a million
Yo,
years
Rex took
would I have ever
Envoy
thought
and Joey Nubsy.
that Rex would pick Nubsy as his coach, bro.
After
all
this
the
season.
after all the hate. Oh my god.
The criticism that Rex is.
Criticism.
The criticism, not
Yeah.
the hate.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Sometimes
Sam,
you need
you can
someone to
round out
bring
your
those
roster,
emotions.
and guess who's still on the board?
My man Formal.
You're going to disrespect Formal like that and put him as a sub? Come on now.
Here's what I'm thinking, and this actually might completely lose me all votes because I don't know how a lot of the community still feels about this player.
Oh no.
Coming into the league.
No.
John?
No.
Mental?
You're seriously going to do this?
Oh my God.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Haggy.
Pff, no,
I was gonna be like,
no,
what?
no.
No way. You're going that route, huh?
This again.
Wow.
This is a low risk, high reward.
Well, he feels more
Sub
like
pick.
it feels wrong to put Scump or Formal on the
Yes.
like. I feel like that's
Yeah.
why I didn't want to take him.
I will never put Formal on as a sub spot because he's not going to be a sub at
Like
any
it feels.
point.
I mean, it feels wrong to have Huke or
Exactly.
Major Maniac as a
Yeah.
sub, let alone have Scump
Yeah.
or Formal
Here's-
as a sub.
Before you don't vote, because I'm guessing a lot of people hate that Mental's in the league and got a spot before. some
Well, you
people.
already lost. You know they're not even going to listen to the
I
podcast.
know.
They're just going to see
I
the
know.
vote
Yeah.
on Twitter.
I know. Here's my thoughts. Mental is an actual sub this year. He is someone that is unproven in the COD scene. He's very much proven in the gear scene. If he ends up being amazing, I could see him potentially taking Priest's spot on my roster, on my specific roster, potentially. But I'm gonna try him out. But
Wow.
again,
Wow.
if it doesn't pan out, he's a low cost sub.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
I mean, again, it's like it just feels wrong to have Scumpers.
Yes.
Any of the great players in the league right now to have them as
A
substitutes.
sub.
And just because a player wasn't drafted doesn't mean we don't think they're great players.
No, it's
Skies wasn't drafted. Formal, Scump, Pharaoh, Clay. So many great players weren't drafted.
Yeah.
We only have 15 spots to
Yeah.
draft players here.
got to build your
And
team.
just because they're not drafted in the top 15 doesn't mean they're not a top 15 player.
Exactly.
We're trying to build a roster here. All right.
There are certain sub machine gun players that are better than ARs. There are
So
certain
don't
AR
just
players that are
take
better
some
than
freaking screenshot
seriously.
and post it on Twitter like, can you believe that blah, blah, blah wasn't drafted? No. It's
Haggy, I don't want to see this on your Twitter posting saying LOL, are you
wasn't-
serious?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. But we're just we're having some fun here building a roster. So we hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
Yes.
I mean, drop your comments down below. I'm going to post this on Twitter. And
I swear, if you win by a mile, it's going to be...
it's because I have the best team.
Vote Shady.
That, yeah, Rex, you don't have your napkin with a
Vote
vote shady
Josh
sign.
is a hype beast. He chooses all hype beast players.
Josh the hype beast. Oh my God.
And this roster is frying. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to win this poll by a mile. It's not even going to be close.
Boy.
My
I'm feeling
team
good,
is
but-
full of top tier caliber players. We have Abizi, who's arguably maybe became one of the best players on that phase team. Scump is even scared of Abizi. We have Envoy, who is on the Huntsman and who is probably one of the best players on the Huntsman, and they were a top 3 or 4 team. And then Octane, number 1 AR in the league. And then we have Gunless, who everyone has shown, Gunless deserves a championship. Like, he is such a winning mentality sort of player. And then you have Maniac and the subs to take over if Gunless goes toxic. Like,
It's just like
No
your picks.
shot.
Your
that my
picks
team
go
doesn't
against
win.
everything like you stand for, though. Like, like Gunless, you like I've touted as this toxic player.
And Rex is all about vibes.
Yeah, and Envoy, you poop on Josh for liking, and then Nubsy,
who
you just
have
roasted.
criticized.
But there's a time and place for certain players. I chose to build my
Is this
thing
apology
around
time from
BZ.
Rex?
Nah, no
No,
apologies.
When
But
it's all said
Envoy,
and done,
I've never denied Envoy is a great player. I just think there's better
it's
players
just
out
funny.
there.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, it is a good roster.
There's 4 better players out there, apparently. Okay.
Part of me kind of wishes I would have put Scump instead of Gunless, to be honest. But
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm surprised Scump didn't get drafted. Like, he's a good player, and he
always makes it far.
brings a lot to a team.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I'm taking
There's
risks. I'm
just
like,
so
I'm
many good
building
players out there.
championship.
we're building an upside dream team. That's what we're building here. And so we lived up to that. So
We sure are.
anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Drop your comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, and drop a review on Apple Podcasts, because this is what we love to do, and we want to read reviews, but there was no new reviews from last week. So what are y'all doing? I mean, just, search it on the Apple Podcast, pop that 5-star, say Josh is sexy AF, 5 stars, and drop your
4.5.
fire comment. I mean, yeah, you're lying, but hey, it's fine.
It's
And-
fine.
And vote Shady
And-
on the Twitter poll.
and vote Salvation League on the Twitter poll that I'm going to put
Vote
out.
bash on the
I'll put it out on Wednesday after the podcast. Like, give it like a day to kind of sit for a bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back at you again next week. So as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3. To our farthest right is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.